Alrighty. We have two different types of triangles we're going to talk about today, and a few rules that go along with them to finding side lengths. The first one we're going to talk about are 45, 45, 90 degree triangles. Tell me what you know about a square. What do we know about a square? It has four sides. What about the four sides? They're all equal. And how big are the angles? They're all 90 degrees. So check this out. I'm going to draw a square, but I'm going to make two of the sides dashed. And if it's a square, these sides are the same, right? And you have a right angle in it. I'm going to do a right angle here, and these would be right angles as well. What happens if I split those right angles in half? How big are each of these angles? 45 degrees. This would be a 45 degree angle, and this would be a 45 degree angle, and over here I'd have 45 degree angles as well. So it's half of a square. Right? I say that these are my legs, and I say this is my hypotenuse. You've got your legs and the hypotenuse. The legs are both the same. So check this out. If I have 45 degrees, across from the 45 degree angle is this one congruent mark. And if I have another 45 degree angle, across from it is the same congruent mark. If you have the same angle measures, the sides across from them are going to be the same lengths. Here's our rules that we need to know. If I tell you to find the hypotenuse, we need to know the leg, and then we multiply by the square root of 2. Hypotenuse equals leg times the square root of 2. And the leg equals the hypotenuse divided by the square root of 2. This is times. Leg times the square root of 2, and hypotenuse divided by square root of 2. Then, we're going to talk about another kind of triangle. What you need to do is take your paper, fold it in half, match up your vertices, crease it, and I am going to draw a line down the middle on my crease. Kind of. If I tell you, and I tried to do my best, I believe each of these sides are the same length. They should be the same length. If all three sides of that triangle are the same length, we say it is equilateral. All the sides are equal, it's equilateral. And if it's equilateral, it's also equiangular. And if it's equiangular, how big are each of those angles? 60 degrees. So this would be a 60 degree angle, and this one would be 60 degrees. And really up here, this one would be 60 degrees too. But I cut it in half when I folded it, right? If I folded it and I cut it in half, how big is this one? This is 30 degrees. And I dropped a straight line in here when I folded it, and this is a 90 degree angle. This is sweet. Ready for this? Across from my right angle, we say this side is our hypotenuse. So I have my hypotenuse. And then I have these two legs, but are they the same length? No, they're not the same length, so I'm going to say this is my short leg, because it's the smaller one. And I'm going to say this one is my long leg. I have a short leg and I have a long leg. Cool? So check out this. If I have 30 degrees, this is my smallest angle in the triangle. And when I go across from it, I run into my shortest leg, right? Smallest angle, across from it is the shortest leg. I take this out. I have 60 degrees. Across from 60 degrees is the longer leg. And then, if I have a right angle, what do you know about a right angle? It's 90 degrees. It's the largest angle in our triangle, right? And across from our 90 degree angle is your hypotenuse. And we know the hypotenuse is always the longest side of the triangle, right? Oh, cool. Okay. So let's build on this. if we have a couple rules here. The hypotenuse, to solve for a hypotenuse, it takes our short leg times 2. So the short leg times 2. The long leg equals the short leg times the square root of 3. The short leg equals the hypotenuse divided by 2. And sometimes we don't know the hypotenuse, so to find the short leg, we can also go this route. We can go the short leg equals the long leg divided by the square root of 3. Got those? So check this out. I look at this first example, says find the length of the hypotenuse. My first question is, where's the hypotenuse? Across from the right angle, this is our hypotenuse, right? So we label that. And I need to know, are these the same length or are they different lengths or what? If this is 45 degrees and this is 90 degrees, how big is this one? 45 degrees, right? 45, 45, 90 degree triangle. So if this is my hypotenuse, I'm on this side, because it's 45, 45, 90, I have two legs and they're both the same. So this is a leg and this is a leg. If this is 8, how big is this one? 8. And my hypotenuse, how do I find hypotenuse? It says take your leg and times it by the square root of 2. So my hypotenuse equals the leg, which is 8. So I'm taking my leg times the square root of 2. My leg is 8 times the square root of 2. And really, we can clean this up. We could have just jumped to the chase. Instead of saying 8 times the square root of 2, we can just smush them together, say 8 square root of 2, because that still means multiply. 8 square root of 2. So we have 8, 8, 8 square root of 2. Soon we'll pick up on a pattern here, and it works every single time. Part B. If I have two legs that are the same, what kind of triangle is this one going to be? If two legs are the same, it's going to be a 45, 45, 90 triangle for us again. So across from the right angle, this is my hypotenuse, and then I have a leg, and I have another leg. To find the hypotenuse, what's my rule say? Leg times the square root of 2. What's my leg? 3 square root of 2 times the square root of 2. And here's where we get into a little bit more algebra 2 work. But that's okay. Square root of 2 times square root of 2 is square root of 4. We multiply those numbers and bring down your 3. Multiply numbers under the square root. Square root of 4 is 2. So 3 times 2 is 6. So in this case, my hypotenuse is 6. How about here? I don't know either of these legs, but they're both marked the same, so they're going to be congruent to each other. So that must make this 45 degrees and that one 45 degrees. So it's 45, 45, 90. So I'm still on this same front side of my triangle. This is my hypotenuse, and then I have my legs. What am I solving for? I want to know my leg, so what's my rule for a leg? Hypotenuse divided by square root of 2. So leg equals hypotenuse divided by the square root of 2. Plug in what we know. The hypotenuse is labeled as 5 square root of 2. And I just divide by my square root of 2. If we have something in the top and something in the bottom, they cancel. And I'm left with 5. How about here? Triangle WXY is a right triangle. Find the length of WX. I want to find this length right here. What kind of triangle is this? 45, 90, this one should be 45. I'm still using my same rules. Label what we know. This is our hypotenuse, which I'm trying to solve for. So this must be a leg, and this must be a leg. How big is this leg going to be? 25. How do we solve for hypotenuse? The rule says leg times the square root of 2. So my leg was 25 times the square root of 2. I have 25 square root of 2, and it should be right here, actually, letter B. Cool? 1, 2, and 3 in the guided practice. If both of these legs are the same, if they're the same, we say it's 45, 45, 90 triangle. This is my hypotenuse. This is a leg. This is a leg. How do we find a leg? Hypotenuse divided by square root of 2. Leg equals hypotenuse divided by square root of 2. My hypotenuse is 2 square root of 2 divided by square root of 2. Those cancel, leaving me with 2. So this leg is 2, this leg is 2. My hypotenuse is 2 square root of 2. 2, 2, 2 square root of 2. Number 2. These are the same. So we're going to have 45, 45, 90 degrees. This is my hypotenuse. We have a leg. We have a leg. What's the rule for hypotenuse? Leg times the square root of 2. My leg is square root of 2. Bring down times the square root of 2. Square root of 2 times square root of 2. It's like the square roots will cancel. And you can just say it's 2, or the math behind it, square root of 4, gives us 2. Try the third one. Label what you have, and then we'll go through it. Number 3, if we have a square, and because all 4 sides are equal, we've got these right angles in here, how big are each of these angles going to be? If it's 90 degrees and we split them in half, we have 45 and 45. And it doesn't matter if you use this triangle here or this one, it's going to work out the same way. This is a leg, and a leg, and this is my hypotenuse. How do we find a hypotenuse? Leg times the square root of 2. Yep. So our leg is 8 times the square root of 2. Oops, you can't see it. 8 square root of 2. That's it. Number 4 says find the leg length of a 45, 45, 90 degree triangle with a hypotenuse length of 6. Can we draw it? I hope so. It's a 45, 45, 90 triangle. We know 2 legs are the same. That's a right angle. My hypotenuse is 6. That's what they told me. And now it says find the leg length. So these are both of my legs, and they're both going to be the same. So if we label it, that will help. How do I find a leg? It says hypotenuse divided by square root of 2. What's my hypotenuse? 6 divided by square root of 2. We get 6 divided by square root of 2. And let me tell you this. It is not okay to leave the square root in the denominator. Okay? I'm not going to go through the process right now. How do we get rid of that square root? Because it's a little bit of work. I'm not going to expect you to do that. But just so you know, when you get to Algebra 2, don't tell your teacher, Miss Roop said we can leave it like that. It's really not correct to leave it like that, but we're going to. Because if you can get it to this point, we'll be in good shape. Okay? How about here? Solve for H. Here's my H. I've got a couple I've got at least 2 or 3 triangles in here. You got the 2 smaller ones and the 1 larger one. Is this a 45, 45, 90 triangle? No. No, 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 no. If this is 90 degrees, this one's 90 degrees. We have 60 degrees, so how big is this one? 30. So what do I have to do? I need to come to the back. This is my 30, 60, 90s back here. And here are my rules for how we're going to solve. But first of all, I need to know, well, what do I have? And the easiest one to find is your hypotenuse across from the right angle. So we label our hypotenuse, and then I have these two. I have a short leg, and I have a long leg. And my long leg is my h value, right? So how do I find my long leg? It equals the short leg times the square root of 3. Long leg equals short leg times the square root of 3. Plug in what we have. The long leg is our h. The short leg, right here, is 3 times the square root of 3. We're going to leave it just like that. So look at this real quick. If this was my short leg, we have 3 times 2 gives me 6. And over here, 3 times the square root of 3 gives me 3 square root of 3. That'll work every single time. Multiply by 2 here, multiply by square root of 3 here. How about this one? I'm telling you, pretty straightforward. It's 30, 60, 90. Here's my hypotenuse. I have the shorter leg, and I have the longer leg. I'm going to look at my short leg. Can I find my short leg? I don't have it, but I can find it. It's the hypotenuse divided by 2. Do I know the hypotenuse? No, so I'm going to look at this one. Do I have the long leg? Yeah. So I'm going to say short leg equals long leg divided by square root of 3. The long leg is 9 divided by square root of 3. That's this side. How about the hypotenuse? What's the rule for hypotenuse? The rule for the hypotenuse is short leg times 2. My short leg I just found is 9 divided by the square root of 3. I'm going to multiply by 2, like 2 over 1. So this was 9 divided by the square root of 3 times 2 over 1. 9 times 2 is 18. Square root of 3 times 1 is square root of 3. Find the height of the body. Here I have, this one's 45 degrees, this one's 90, so this one must be 45 as well. And if I want to solve for this height, this is going to be a leg, because 14 is my hypotenuse. So am I still on this side? No. If it's a 45, 45, 90, we come back to this side. How do I solve for this leg? Leg equals hypotenuse divided by square root of 2. So my leg equals my hypotenuse divided by square root of 2. And how about this one? Here's 90 degrees, here's 60 degrees. And this one must be 30 degrees. So now I'm no longer on the 45, 45, 90. Now we go to our 30, 60, 90. Label your sides. This is my hypotenuse, the shorter leg, and the longer leg. This is my height, so I need to figure out, well, what's my long leg? The rule for long leg says short leg times the square root of 3. Do I know the short leg? No, we don't have the short leg. So I'm like, well, how do I find the short leg? So I keep going. I'm like, well, my short leg is hypotenuse divided by 2. Can I do hypotenuse divided by 2? Yeah, my hypotenuse is 14 divided by 2 gives us 7. And now I can take the 7 back up here and plug it in for my short leg. That gives me 7 square root of 3. Check this out real quick. If I give you a 45, 45, 90 triangle, this is 2, this is 2, what's this one going to be? 2 square root of 2? 2, 2, 2 square root of 2. If I go like this, 3, 3, what's this one? 3 square root of 2. It's always times the square root of 2. If I give you 8, this one is 8 square root of 2. If I give you 10, this one is 10 square root of 2. If I give you 13 square root of 2, how big are each of these? 13 and 13. Do you see it? Okay, those are 45, 45, 90s. What if I give you a 30, 60, 90? That's really not drawing a scale. Let's go 2 here. The hypotenuse is twice as big, which is 4. And if this is my short leg, my long leg is 2 times the square root of 3. And that's what our formula says. If I go like this, and I tell you this is 3, what's this? 6. 3 times 2 is 6. And this one, I take my short leg times the square root of 3, so this one would be 3 square root of 3. If I give you this one, and I say this is 10, this is half as big, which is 5, and this one is 5 square root of 3. If I give you this one, let's go 7 square root of 3. This one is 7, and this one is 14. Do you kind of see the pattern? If not, you can use the rules from your triangle to solve